Hello, welcome to this little Hanging with Hexwave mini, I guess. This is just going to be a quick video going over some differences between Digitakt 1 and 2, in case you got this and can't really find where things are or are confused about the layout of some stuff. Or maybe you're just thinking about it, just want to kind of go over some stuff. I had a friend that asked me some questions and it kind of prompted me to do this video. And yeah, so, I mean, maybe you don't want to read the manual because, it's all big and boring and all that, or you did and you missed some stuff, or whatever, but either way. First, keyboard. How do I change octaves? The arrows aren't working. So by default, you have to hold the keyboard button and press up and down, and that changes the octave, as you can see up there. So you can keep it that way, or if you don't like that, in the personalize option, you can change up-down key mode to keyboard octave. By default, it's on nav. And now, if the keyboard is open, the up and down arrow will automatically change octave. The thing is, when it's off, the up and down will still nav, so it's kind of the best of both worlds to keep it that way, but it's preference. Next thing is there's a very handy thing for previewing samples that you might miss if you didn't hear about it in some video yet, but I don't have audio coming out from this, so you're not going to hear it because I don't want to set that up, but if you're in the sample browser, just press right, and anywhere you are, there will be an auto preview. Tick that, and then as you go up and down, if you had audio right now, you'd hear these automatically play whenever you highlight them, and that makes things a lot quicker for finding the right sample. And as you might have heard also, if something is a single cycle, this seems to automatically figure that out, and it'll loop it. So if you have a big folder of single cycle waveforms, you can just tap through them and it'll play them as looped. So you don't have to listen to a bunch of click, 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 and then try to figure out which one of those clicks sounds like it might sound cool if it's looped. Hint, you'll never figure it out. All right, and how do I change the filter type? That's another question you might have, because it used to be this knob, but now we have a cool extra control for the filter depending on what type you're on, and it, it's different depending on the type of filter, but now there are 3 controls that change the filter in general. Instead of it used to just be 2, and this used to change the type, but now if you want to change the type, you have to, it's a machine now, so while you're on this page, if you hold Func and Source here for the machine, that brings up the filter machine, and that's where you change your filter type. You'll see there's dots there, you can left and right, so this is the machine selection. So you can also change the machine for the sample here. And even if you're on a different page and you hit Func and Machine and it brings up this, then you can go over here and change the filter. So just kind of know that those two are tied together, but if you're on the filter page and you Func Machine, it'll automatically default to that page. So it's a little weird to get used to, but it makes sense because generally you're not changing filter types in the middle of a song, because usually that will involve like kind of a clicky sound. Not that you can't, but it doesn't really need to be a dedicated control. So it's nicer actually that we have like more control over the filter in general like this. Another quick thing is the page loop, how that works, because that's it was added in a update after this came out, and so it's not super well documented. It is, but a lot of people missed it. So if you want to loop pages, hit the record. Once you're in step record mode, or whatever, the mode where you can see the sequencer, then if you hold page, so this is the same way, because like if you don't hit record and you hit page, then it's doing a fill. So that's why you have to be in record mode. So hold page and it'll highlight. These are active pages. So, it goes up to 8. I only have 4 bars, so it only shows the first 4. You can use this to jump between pages instead of having to toggle through pages sequentially. You can actually just jump straight to a page for editing. But if you want to loop, it's the green buttons down here. So if I want to loop page 1 and 3, now if I play, it'll just play that, and it'll skip 10 or it'll skip 2 and 4. Yeah, so that's basically that. Other one is mute mode. It's just kind of moved, so you'll have to get used to that. There's no way around it. The button is now up here, so you just have to learn a new muscle memory. And then while you're in mute mode, if you hold Funk, then you can cue mutes, which it's kind of useful, not super useful, because in the end you can't it'd be better if you could probably cue them so that they automatically change when the pattern changes or something like that, because as it is, if you're already pressing them, it's not super important to cue them. But anyways, it's if you are doing a lot of specific ones and you're turning some on and some off, it might be handy if you want to make sure that they all snap at the same time. But yeah, that's that. One other thing is the retrig menu changed. Normally you'd hold Funk and press up and down here to bring up a little pop-up thing, which I always thought was kind of a weird interface. So now it makes more sense. It's on the trig page, on the second page of that. So you just turn retrig on, and then you have your options here for the length and the rate and the fade in and out of the velocity. And also here you have the new controls for portamento, because that wasn't on the Digitakt before, so that's really nice. You can have things slide up and down. Then in the setup menu you got all your legato and whatever, all these other options. Oh yeah, your portamento options, here you go. That's for all your tweaking of that setting. And maybe you want the routing options, because you've heard that's a thing. That's in the setup, so Funk filter for setup. You have your control all and compressor routing here. So control all, you can toggle on and off here. You'll see the MIDI one, you can't toggle those obviously. And then on the compressor, there's a second page. So go to the second page to toggle the input and the effects, whether or not that goes to the compressor. So that's nice, you can do that. All right, and the bank, so you can still go straight to bank toggling by holding Funk and hitting pattern, since it doesn't have its own button anymore. And I personally, this is mixed, but I personally think that's better. I don't really think you need a dedicated button for bank, though it could be argued you don't need a dedicated button for song, because it's kind of a niche thing. But I don't know. The song is more of a feature. Even if you don't use it, it makes sense that it has its own button. But I think a lot of people aren't going to press it. I make songs on and off, but generally I just kind of use patterns. But anyways, that's beside the point. So you can Funk pattern to change banks if you want, and do things the old way, where now it's asking for pattern, then you pick that. But you can also just you can also just press the pattern button, and now you'll see it pops up with bank here, and now you can left and right through banks. So you don't even need to press a second thing for bank. You can just hit the pattern anytime you want to change patterns, regardless of what bank they're in. And I think that makes a lot more sense. You don't have to worry about, am I changing banks? Am I changing patterns? So if I want to go to B, I just do pattern A, whatever. So I think that's faster and it works better. All right, one other thing that I just found out in the EasyBot video recently is that if you're in a scale, so this isn't quite all the way of what we're hoping, but see, I'm in minor right now. If you're in a scale and you, so normally if you push, or if you turn the note, it'll just go through every note sequentially. But if you push and turn, now it will snap to scale. So it's only going to notes that are in the scale. So that's pretty cool. So that just makes it like you can use that, and like while you're playing live recording, you can like quickly snap in if you want to kind of like randomize the notes that you're putting in it, but keep them in a scale. You can do that and just hold it, push down, turn, and like snap things in. Or if you're on the retrig page or the velocity page or something, you can also like use that and like retrig with different notes in the scale, which is kind of cool. But again, I don't have sound coming out of here, so I'm not going to give you audio, but you can get the point. But yeah, well, I'm saying that's kind of halfway of what we want. Would really hope that eventually Elektron will allow LFOs to modulate through notes in a scale and keep it snapped to scale. Because right now you just have tune, which will just go through every note, but it'd be really, really cool if you could snap to a scale, and I think everyone's been screaming for that for a while. So they do seem to listen, even if sometimes they're a bit slow adding things. But I mean, everybody's screaming for hundreds of different things at the same time, so I understand, but hopefully they add that. One last ridiculously unimportant thing, but I will show you, but I didn't really hear about it anywhere. If you're naming something, let's just say the pattern, rename. There is now a randomize. If you press the settings button, settings random, boop, boop, assured, cloistered gaze, tardy, symbolic plant, incomplete belt. That's a good one. Yeah, this is a thing that's in a lot of devices, but they didn't have it in Elektron stuff until now, so that's pretty fun. Just if you don't feel like thinking of a name for something like a preset, because like you can only name things like hard snare so many times. I don't know, maybe you want a more interesting name to remember something. Whatever. That's the thing you can do. All right, that's it. If I think of anything else, maybe I'll put a note in the comments, or if there's any questions that you have, feel free to ask me. I don't know, I comb through manuals and stuff, so I typically know most things in and out. But yeah, hope this was helpful in some way, and enjoy playing with the Digitakt 2 or dreaming about it if you don't have one.